Hi guys, I'm Mike Goldstein of EasyDatingCoach.com. Thanks for joining us. We've got my brand new friend who you're going to want to listen to, because not only is she going to teach you how to magnetize and bring a man close, but she's got so much interesting experience in terms of both being a tantric practitioner. She does hypnosis, and she's an NLP, neurolinguistics. No, I'm saying that wrong. Luba, what is an NLP again?
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Oh, I was saying it right.
Yes.
Okay.
Totally right.
So Luba, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be on this wonderful channel.
All right. So we need to start teaching women how to magnetize some men in. And so this is my favorite. How can someone learn how to flirt naturally? And like, flirting's gone these days. Like, everyone forgot how to flirt. So I'm so excited to talk about this. How do we flirt?
Okay, so one total pattern interrupt here right away that we can start with is actually being close to your natural wildness is something that can invoke your imagination and can allow you to come up with unusual comparisons and almost poetry in your speech and your perception. This is something that can make you a great flirter. It also is the same thing that allows you to be naturally funny. And at the same time, when you are connected with your own sexuality and you can see the world in that angle, from that angle, and you perceive someone as a incredible, interesting and powerful sexual being, and you can bring that into communication. This is what allows you to flirt. But here is one most important tip. You need to imagine, and it would be better if you fully believed it, that you are actually really adorable and that the world loves you. So when that happens, that's when this natural flirting comes out. The playfulness, the freedom of it, the sexiness of it. This is what's required. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. It's like something about a woman who's like in her confidence and knows that she's adorable and the world like loves her. It's just all of a sudden it's just flirty. Her eye contact, her playfulness, her wildness. That draws us in. So that's so spot on.
Thank you so much. Yes. There's one little, I'm sorry to interrupt you. One little tip. Out of all the men that I ever worked with within dating realm, when I asked them, what is it that attracts you to a woman? What's the first thing that you notice that is like this irresistible? Every man said is the twinkle in her eye.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Well, maybe when men talk to each other, they say something else.
Yeah, I mean,
but
we
to
definitely
me,
want to sound cool, so we say something other than that.
maybe.
Of course. But I think it is like, so obviously, there's been studies out there and they say, what do men and women want? And we both say confidence. But I think like, what does confidence really mean? I think men kind of look at the energy and like, you and I have been talking and I see your energy and it's just this like ball of fun. And that is kind of what makes me want to talk to you and makes other men want to talk to you. So like, look at her. She's smiling. She's nodding. Like, this is how you behave, right?
Thank you so much. I had a sufficiently traumatic childhood and discrimination as a Jewish girl growing up in Russia that I had to develop the charisma. I had no choice.
I got it. So I think like with flirting, it's really challenging for people. Like, they go to their 9-to-5 job and maybe it's a little stressful. And then it's like, all right, time to go to a date. And it's just been a long day. How do they go from like work, business, professional mode to like fun, playful? How do you transfer over?
I'll tell you what mostly people do during that date. They have a couple of drinks, right? This is like the fast shortcut to relaxing. But the truth of the matter is, of course, for a woman, it's not super advisable to get loaded, on the first date and skew her perception and possibility to discern. So what I recommend, of course, is, well, first of all, getting in touch with your body is a great way of shaking everything off, all the thoughts. And what men are really gifted in actually is compartmentalizing things. Like, this is work, this is not work. I'm at home, I'm not thinking about work. Women actually are worse at that. It's more challenging for women. So it's even more important to get embodied, to get back in touch with your body. Dancing is amazing. So before a date, what I would recommend, turn on your favorite music, something joyful, something that's going to make your body feel like it wants to move. Get into your like power animal, maybe a panther, maybe a jaguar, a cat, somebody exciting, and just move around to your favorite tune. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's such good advice. Because, like, no man wants some woman just like stiff and boring and like there, but then like the panther who's like exciting to be around and fun,
Mm-hmm.
that's attractive. And that's what men want to be around. They want to
Mm-hmm.
just, yes, feel fun.
Yeah.
So let's talk about men for a minute and women selecting the wrong ones, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So there's some narcissistic men out there, and for some reason women stay with him or select him.
Mm-hmm.
Why are women attracted to this guy?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. Well, first of all, narcissists have a gift usually. At first, they establish very deep rapport. And at first, they make a woman feel really seen, adored, and cherished. And they come in, and often they even please a woman in the very beginning. And they give her this special attention and special compliments. And if a woman is not super sure of her own feminine value, she's going to eat it up. She's going to just absorb it, love it, and she's going to completely ignore the fact that, for example, this guy is actually not investing anything into the relationship, neither financially or time or emotionally or coming or able to sacrifice anything. And so she's just eating up this attention just to discover that at some point when she is already conquered by the narcissist, all of a sudden he plays a trick on her. He starts going hot and cold. Then what happens is that he becomes this moving target that attracts attention. So if a woman is not really complete by herself, if her love blueprint needs a healing, she's going to be so happy to be distracted and to just watch that moving target. You know how people play computer games? How
Hmm.
how they get addicted? It's almost the same thing. Can I get him? Can I not get him? Is he calling? Is he texting? Oh, he's not. And all of a sudden, this obsession starts to come in. And then, yeah, go ahead.
No, go. You're rolling.
Okay. Yeah. And then, of course, what also happens is that when a woman felt as a child when she was growing up habitually that her feelings are not being honored by one or both parents, or if one or both parents were not fully emotionally stable for whatever reason, whether the parent was an addict of some kind, substance or otherwise, or just plain abusive or borderline, this woman in some way is kind of addicted to this very intense experience, or this roller coaster experience. And this is the experience that a narcissist can give. And so then the woman, poor woman, just gets completely sucked into this relationship. And what's worse is that the narcissist who cannot take criticism, and the narcissist always makes a woman feel guilty for everything. Now, if the feeling of guilt is something that is habitual for her, something that she's been used to from her childhood, that hits home so much that in some way the narcissist all of a sudden feels like he's her soulmate, or that he's supposed to be with her, some kind of destiny. And don't forget, he has the charm and he has the manners usually, and he's kind of like independent. So that combination is deadly. And that's why many women get sucked into that.
That's so interesting. So the big negative is the roller coaster of him showing up, being charismatic, and then him going away, and then her feeling, well, where'd he go? And not
Yeah.
feeling that he can count on him. Is that right?
Absolutely. And also, what did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong? Is something wrong with me? And the classic, which hits into the childhood trauma, which is I'm not good enough. And I have to prove it to him, especially if he reminds her of one of her parents, because she wants that parent to love her. So this is her chance to be loved by that kind of energy. So she's going to be putting and contributing more and more energy into this relationship, just for her own feminine to be eventually depleted, not to mention many other terrible consequences. Yeah,
So I want to help everyone out a little bit with this.
sure.
Hopefully this helps.
Yeah,
So
let's try.
yeah, let's try. There's so when we look at gambling, gambling can be an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And they've spent a ton of time studying this, all the doctors, and figuring out why people gamble. And all they figured out was it was very simple. There's variable times that you win, so it's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know when you're going to win, and you keep coming back because you're like, this might be the time I win $1 million. But it's also well documented that every game in there is under 50% chance to win. So logically, you're like, gambling is, I'm going to lose money. But you still do it because there's variable reward. Now, that's what this roller coaster narcissist is. He's a variable reward where when he shows up, you're like, oh man, this is amazing. He's treating me fantastically. He's so in tune with me, and I'm just having the best time ever.
Yeah.
Then he just disappears for a bit, and you're like feeling insecure, you're anxious, and it's not good. So what I want everyone to get out of this is treat this like it's an addiction like gambling and realize what it is. This isn't a win. And even though there are high highs, forget that. A real relationship is constant where you're smiling every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're going to get in fights, but it's not up and down like this. It's just a constant, like, this is how we are. Every day I can count on the person. So, sorry,
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up so that maybe it becomes relatable so we can get out of this addiction.
Yes, and I love what you said, that you're smiling every day. That really, you can really feel it. Thank you so much for that. And also, I love the gambling analogy as well. And I want to remind you, who wins? The house always wins. And but in our situation, we could think that the house is the divine intelligence. It's actually the benevolent force of the world, which some call God or some higher being. That always truly wins. The benevolence, the goodness, the love, that always wins. The other side of it, the addiction, the obsession, is something that when you say hello to a narcissist, you already lost.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So we got the narcissist. We're going to put him over there and get rid of him forever. We don't need him.
Yeah.
But there are a ton of great men out there that are fantastic that we want to bring in close. So how do we ignite a fire in a man and bring him in so that we can have a great man and he wants to be there and he's ecstatic to be there?
Yeah, wonderful question. So first of all, of course, the first thing for a woman is to know what not to do. And what not to do, especially for a modern woman, especially for a modern woman who is successful in her career, is very important in my mind, to not to lead with her masculine, but rather so most women, what happens to them is that their feminine core is kind of a little bit damaged, because our own relationship with the feminine really needs a lot of healing. So often the woman feels like, oh my God, if I open up again to some guy, and if I really allow myself to feel and be vulnerable, he's going to crush me. I'm going to get addicted. I'm going to want his attention. He's not going to give it to me. And so I'd rather not go there. And so she builds up this defense, this masculine defense, and she starts to lead with that masculine defense. And so she comes to a date, for example, kind of like as this island or a refrigerator, so to speak. And there is this wall, because she knows that inside everything is soft and mushy. So my approach is to revert that completely. So on the contrary, to build out a really strong core, a really deep and good relationship with your own feminine, and be very strong inside, but be soft on the edges. So when you're soft on the edges, it is inviting. And when you have your boundaries straight, when you know that you love yourself so much that you're just not going to tolerate for any kind of energy depletion, when you're in touch with your body and you just know what doesn't feel good, and you're used to honoring your feelings, and you know you're going to set boundaries when you have to, you can really allow yourself to come into vulnerability. You can allow yourself to establish deep emotional connection with someone. And another thing is, what not to do. Women tend to fantasize really fast. She just met a guy, she's already seeing how they're walking down the altar, towards the altar. So I think this is a great mistake. I think in the very beginning, it's very important to know how to stay in the present, just to have fun in the present, to have genuine interest towards another person instead of thinking and having an agenda all the time. Like, is this going anywhere? Is this the right guy? Is this? Is this that? Men feel it. Nobody wants to be looked at as an object. A woman, as a woman, do you want to be looked at as an object? You don't. And neither do men. So my advice is to really come in with your with your good core, soft edges, open for contact, and at the same time, always knowing that you can protect yourself at any point in time. So you can go as wild and fun and present. Even if you think that this guy is not a good guy for you, every meeting with every person is a possibility of a miracle.
Oh, man, do I love that. And since you can only see her talking, the whole time I'm just nodding. And I want to give you the male thought on this. Like, that's exactly what we want. We want to go on a date where a woman has her squishy exterior, if you will, and she's vulnerable. She tells us who she is. We get to know her, and she's living in the moment, just having fun. And when she's like that, well, we're going to probably want to set the pace, and we're going to want to move forward, and we're going to want to ask her on a second date. We're going to want to, if she's this vibrant personality, ask her to be exclusive. We're going to want to get married to her down the road. Like, we will push the pace if she's in this energy that, quite frankly, probably most of women are not. So if you're there and you're doing the work watching this, and then you want to become this person, you have a skill set that's better than everyone else. So, I mean, it's really just beautiful. Like, it's rare when I go on those dates, but when I do, I recognize it and I see a beautiful woman. And if, everything, the values are aligned and our interests are similar, I just get wide-eyed and I'm like, this is it. Like, this is perfect. I want to keep this moving.
Yeah. Thank you for validating that. Thank you so much. And I have one more tip, which is something actually from my course, Law of Devotion. This is something I've always do to men and to women, actually. I always see a person in their highest light, in their potential. So when I talk to a person, I usually always talk to their soul directly. I don't care about exactly what it is that their petty little, things are. I look into their deep essence and I speak to it. And when I speak into their soul, the soul responds. And when I see the soul is always vibrant. The soul is always about love. So when I elevate that vision, the man always responds. And so he feels what happens when a man, my loves, when a man feels as his best version of himself, when he's with you, he's going to want to repeat that because that's what he wants for himself and his own hero's journey. Yeah.
When she's right, she's right. Like, I'm just nodding. All right. So we're in our feminine energy. We're nice and squishy with the heart, the core inside. And we could do a whole nother video on how to have those when it's boundary time, how to do that in a nice way. But anyway, what I'd rather talk about is we're soft, we're squishy, we brought the guy in, everything's going great, we're happy with it. But how do we get him to commit?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first of all, just like with many other arts, and by the way, it is an art to get somebody to commit, to say yes, to say several yeses, and then to close, actually. The stage needs to be set up right, and he has to be the right candidate to begin with. So this is something that usually I help my clients verify that in the very first stages, sometimes at the very first date, and very first stages of the relationship. For example, there are some questions to ask, and the questions would be, one of the very important questions: how did your last relationship end? So if the guy is sitting there and completely blaming that ending on another, or on the woman, or let's say he says, well, I lived with this crazy for 25 years and she had 3 children from me, that's a real red flag. That's the flag that the guy didn't do his inner work. He didn't take responsibility. He is not ready to move on, or he's not ready for a healthy relationship or commitment. So if he says, well, we went our different ways, I am going into new place now, then you ask the next question, which is, this is now, I'm going to give you some gold, real gold, golden nugget. So you ask a guy, instead of asking him this boring question, like, and what do you want? What are you looking for? Like, okay, he's just going to come up with some mental list of things. Yeah, I want her to be this and this and this. But the truth is, he just thought of it. It's not coming from his heart. It's not true, but instead, a great question to ask is, and that's where NLP, neuro linguistic programming, comes in. It's kind of like a tricky question. So you ask, and what kind of relationship do you think you deserve? Okay. And so right? That's gold. And what that does, that really shows what the guy is about. How does he really see himself in if anything was possible? So if he tells you, well, I deserve this incredible, interesting woman who we are going to co-pilot together, co-create together, we're going to really complement each other, then you can see this is a guy can possibly commit. Okay. Then another question to ask is, who is your hero? Who is your hero? Sometimes this hero can be, let's say, his father. So if his father is somebody who lived for many years with his mother, then wow, you can tell this is a good candidate for commitment. If his role model is James Bond, who has a different lover in every city of the world, maybe this is not such a good guy for a commitment process. So this is the first thing, and this is what I always ask my women, my clients, when they complain that the guy doesn't want to commit. I ask, so did you have the conversation? Did you really find out what he's looking for? Maybe he was just looking around. Maybe he's in a place where he's nowhere even close to committing to one woman. So we don't want just to even find ourselves in that situation. Now, if you screened him and he is a committal kind of guy who is really ready for a great relationship, then what needs to happen is this. I advise my clients to pace out their intimacy. Like imagine, let's say you have an apartment. You probably do, right, Mike? You have an apartment, you have a lobby, maybe a dining room, a bedroom. So when a pizza delivery guy comes, and I hope you don't eat pizza, it's not very healthy, but let's say somebody comes, you don't necessarily immediately invite him into your bedroom or bathroom, right? At first they're in the lobby. So the same way we can pace out intimacy in a relationship based on what the guy brought in. Again, based on what he really invested. So we can only know someone gradually because people have everything in them. And let me tell you, people are very complex creatures. If you see it in another person, you have it too. So the same guy can be super giving to one woman and a complete like user towards another woman. So what I'm saying is that you need to test this person over time before even thinking that he could be a potential candidate. Now, to get him to commit, you need to make sure that you didn't give away the whole store before you are trying to get a commitment from him. So some women make a huge mistake of, for example, moving in with a guy without any kind of commitment or without a proposal. So if he's already living with you, for example, what is his motivation to propose? None. He has to have a motivation. And the motivation for commitment is this. Number one, he should be afraid that if he doesn't commit, he's going to lose you. Right? And he doesn't want to lose you. Why he doesn't want to lose you? Oh, obviously because he loves you, but also because you have a high value. and his life with you is going to be a better life. So finding out what it is that really makes his soul sing, what it is that makes him happy, and then being that goddess in his world, being that guide between him and, we can say, divine intelligence. This is what's going to make you an irreplaceable partner for this man. He's just going to want to commit. You don't want to force him. He's going to want to, when he sees that you are the one, you're the only one who can represent that divine feminine for him. Now, if, let's say, you are in a situation, in a sucky situation, you did not check him out, you did not pace out intimacy. Let's say you're sitting there and there is some guy you really want him to commit, and you're thinking, damn it, I can't continue like this any longer. Should I dump the guy? Should I move forward? What should I be doing? So in that case, I recommend a 3-step method, which is this. The first step, and by the way, if I'm talking too much, let me know. But
No, keep going. Let's hear the steps.
Okay, great. So the first step, I call this a vulnerable share. And so it goes like this. Honey, I know you want me to be happy. And this is a great opening because it immediately validates another person and sets things up for joy instead of accusing someone or making them feel guilty. So I know you want me to be happy, obviously, because if he doesn't want you to be happy, what are you doing with him in the first place? So he's like, yeah, I want you to be happy. So it would make me feel really happy and really safe. And really make me feel like I'm going towards my own goals in life. If I had a definite better picture, or more clearer picture of my future. So, and then what you need to do, the only way you can pull this off is if you first make a pledge to your own goals, to your own heart, that this is the year for me to meet my wonderful partner. This is the year for me to come into a relationship of my life, to have children, let's say, to start a family. When that becomes a priority, not the relationship, but your own goal, a guy is going to feel it. So when you come with that vulnerable share and you say, and this is the year for me to be with my partner, to really start building something, like I'm ready for that. And so I'm wondering, if this is something that would make you feel excited. Okay, so that's the first question. Now, the guy might say, yeah, I don't, let's say he says, yes, of course. So then you're done, yeah? And then you can talk about other, next yes, Then let's say he says, this is not something that I'm ready for. So in this situation, I would let him go. Honestly, I would just cut the losses. And the second and the third option is when he's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe I might need a little bit more time or something. Then it's almost like an objection handling in the sales process. And then what you can ask is, all right, so what is it that is going to make you ready? What needs to happen? And so if he's able to tell you, then you can go from there. Again, if he's not able to tell you, and he's still kind of wishy-washy and it's like, all right, let's talk about it some other time. Okay. Second step, you talk about it again. And you say, remember that conversation that we had? So this is the time for me. But to the second conversation, you already come prepared with a bunch of admirers in your circle. You gotta be prepared for that if from the first conversation, the guy didn't step up. And so you can say, there are many men actually who would love for me to be their partner. So I want to give you this chance. We've been together for some time. We've been relating. So I would like to know within, and then you give a time frame. Okay. And the third step is something which I called soft ultimatum. Yeah. So let's say the time frame is passed and you just say, okay, so yeah, unless there are any objections, or I guess it would be better for us to transform our relationship into friendship. And that's it. And then see how he's going to react. If he's like, yeah, well, that's too bad, that means that guy was never in the place of commitment. But if all of a sudden he's like, no, come on, what we have is really special. Let me, so this is my approach.
So what do you do when the guy says, ooh, friendship, but that includes benefits, right? What do you say to him?
Yeah, then you say, well, I'm actually really against friendship with benefits. Call me a romantic, but I feel that doesn't feed the feminine energy. So my approach to this would be, yeah, well, maybe with somebody else. Yeah, I would, that's the boundary time. That would be boundary time for me. It just doesn't excite my soul,
Beautiful. I agree with all of that. I really like that 3-step process. I thought that was, it gave the guy an opportunity. And I just want to, I think one nuance of men that women really need to understand that she clearly gets and didn't explain the why, but executes it. And that's like when you're in the first conversation, when he says, I'm not sure of what I need in order to get to the relationship, that is okay because he hasn't thought about it. And so when you come back to the second conversation, he probably did spend some time thinking about it if you're important to him. And now he probably does have a better answer. Like, before we have kids, I want to go on one blowout more vacation with you because it's going to be harder to travel. And you're like, oh, okay. So let's book that. When do you want to plan for it?
Yeah.
And so then you go on the vacation and then you can move forward. And like men really do need that. They want to feel like they're respected and respected for their time. And when you give him that, it draws him closer. And when you say like, hey, I want to be happy, he's like, well, how do I make this? He wants to do all this stuff. And when you're respectful of him, he's going to want to make you smile all the time. So that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay. So we talked about a lot, Luba. I know everybody's going to want more of you because I certainly want more of you after learning from you. You clearly have phenomenal advice. And you say it in a very concise and easy way to understand, which I think is one of the most important pieces. So thank you for that. But we're going to give them a free gift. And guys, as always, I will put it as the top comment and I will put it in the description so we can find it. Luba, what are you giving away?
All right, I'm giving away a very hot item. It's a very simple item to use. So it's just 13 text messages that every guy is dying to get. Now, they will work for a guy that actually is behaving really well and deserves your attention. So there are some messages there that are going to encourage the guy even more. And also, if the guy has been missing in action, pulling away or acting hot and cold a little bit, there are some messages for that as well. And there is also an explanation when to send what. So those 13 messages you can find at www.13texts.com.
Ooh, just out of curiosity, the hot and cold guy, does it also explain what text to send or at what point where we get rid of that guy?
No. For that, it needs to be some further teaching. So text messages is just like this very handy, nifty,
All right. Well, so they got to get some other products or get some coaching from you from that. Yeah. And that's hard to really fully know without having some dialogue and really diving in deep in that to figure out if the guy's credible or not.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Anyway, guys, get that free gift. Luba, thank you for being here. Everyone who watched, this was amazing. It really was. Guys, I will have another video for you on Tuesday, as per usual. Hit like, subscribe to the channel, and give us a comment of, I want to know what your favorite part of this video was. There were just, I kind of need to watch this again because I want to think about what my favorite part was. That 3-step thing, I think right now in the front part of my brain, it was kind of the most juicy thing. But then also, I kind of also loved how you needed to be soft with the hardcore and the soft outside. That really just got my brain moving, and that's what I am passionate about. Oh, this video was so good. There's so many things that I loved. Anyway, Luba, thank you so much, guys. I love everyone. We will see you next video.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.